You're getting the Miami mansion along with the accounts, stocks, and investments. And you, Daniel, you inherit the cabin in Montana." The lawyer's words cracked through the air like thunder. I sat frozen in that sterile office in downtown Chicago, staring across the mahogany table at my younger brother, Ethan Hale. His lips curled into a smirk as if fate had finally given him the crown he'd always craved. $1 million mansion on the ocean front for him and a rotting cabin in the mountains for me. I didn't even hear the rest. My mind drowned in a whirlpool of disbelief. Our parents, the people I had sacrificed so much for, had split everything unevenly. Ethan leaned back in his chair, smugness dripping from every word. "Guess they always knew who the real heir was," he whispered, loud enough for me to hear. That night, the betrayal cut deeper. My fiancée, Claire, threw her engagement ring on the dining table like it was trash. "I can't marry a man with nothing," she hissed. "You're pathetic, Daniel. Ethan knows how to live, and I want a life worth living." Then she walked out right into Ethan's arms. 2 betrayals in one day, my parents and the woman I thought loved me. I drove aimlessly for hours until the broken cabin called to me. It was deep in the Montana wilderness, surrounded by frost-covered pines, a relic of our childhood trips. The wood was splintered, the roof sagged, and the front door moaned on rusty hinges. I thought I'd inherited nothing but shame. But the cabin had secrets. Inside, the air smelled of pine and dust, untouched for decades. I lit a lantern and noticed something odd beneath the floorboards. A loose plank. My hands trembled as I pried it open. Inside was a weather-worn metal box. A map. Not just any map. A surveyor's chart my father must have hidden years ago. It pointed to rich, rare mineral deposits buried under land stretching for miles. Deposits worth an estimated $500 million. I sat there, the lantern flickering, my breath clouding in the cold. My father's voice echoed in memory. "The land is our mother. Respect her, but she will provide if you listen." I realized then that he hadn't abandoned me. He'd left me the true inheritance, something far beyond flashy mansions or bank accounts. But I also knew Ethan. And if he ever found out, he'd burn the world to steal it. For weeks, I guarded the secret. I fixed the cabin roof, chopped firewood, and studied the map every night. The forest became my shield. But secrets have a way of slipping. At a family gathering arranged by Ethan, he and Claire laughed loudly at my poverty. He paraded her in glittering jewelry, each kiss on her cheek another stab in my chest. "So, Daniel," Ethan said with venomous sarcasm, "how's life in your 5-star log palace?" I clenched my jaw, but something broke inside me. I spat out words I couldn't take back. "That cabin is worth more than your mansion could ever dream of." The table fell silent. Ethan's smirk vanished, replaced by sharp curiosity. Claire's eyes widened like a predator catching the scent of prey. And just like that, the secret was no longer mine. The following days turned into war. Ethan hired lawyers, investigators, even tried bribing old family contacts. Claire, now fully on his side, whispered poison into everyone's ears about me being unstable. But what none of them knew was that I had already taken steps to secure my claim. The mineral rights had been transferred quietly into my name. My father, despite everything, must have anticipated Ethan's greed and locked it in a way only I could unlock. Still, Ethan's attacks grew ruthless. He spread rumors that I'd forged documents. He dragged me to court, demanding equal ownership. But in court, I unveiled something that silenced even him. My father's recorded testimony, notarized and sealed years before his death, where he explained why the land and its secrets were left to me. To my eldest son, Daniel Hale, I leave the cabin because he alone knows the value of what lies beneath, and he alone respects the land. The courtroom gasped. Ethan's face drained of color. Claire clutched his arm, her eyes darting with panic. That was the first time I saw fear in my brother's eyes. But it wouldn't be the last. Ethan couldn't hide his obsession after the court session. He showed up at the cabin one night, headlights piercing the forest. His expensive shoes crunched on the snow as he barged in without knocking. the document across the table. My blood froze. The bank transfers funding Ethan's legal campaign came from our parents' old accounts, the ones I thought were dissolved after their deaths. Daniel, Evelyn said carefully, your parents aren't as innocent as you think. They knew exactly what they were doing, pitting you and Ethan against each other. I felt the ground vanish beneath me. My parents, the same ones who'd left me with a rotting cabin, had been feeding Ethan, using me as a pawn. I drove to Chicago to confront them. They weren't dead. They weren't even missing. They were alive, wealthy, and living quietly in a lakeside estate. When they opened the door, my mother's face drained of color. My father stood stiff, guilt flickering in his eyes. You were supposed to stay in Montana, he muttered. You were supposed to live simply, like I taught you. My voice cracked with rage. You abandoned me. You gave Ethan everything. You let Claire betray me. And all this time, you were alive, watching. My mother whispered, it was a test, Daniel. We wanted to see which son would value what truly matters. I laughed bitterly, and your definition of a test nearly destroyed me. But inside, something snapped into place. If they wanted to play games, I'd end it on my terms. The final showdown wasn't in the forest, but in court, under bright lights where lies couldn't hide. I gathered every piece of evidence Evelyn and I had collected. Ethan's threats caught on tape outside the cabin. Bank transfers proving my parents funded his sabotage. Claire's emails bragging about how they'd bleed Daniel dry. And most damning, my father's notarized will explaining the cabin's hidden value was deliberately entrusted only to me. When the trial began, Ethan strode in with Claire on his arm, both dressed like royalty. My parents sat behind them, avoiding my gaze. The judge asked for opening statements. Ethan's lawyer painted me as bitter, unstable, and unfit. Claire cried fake tears, whispering about my paranoia. Then Evelyn rose, her voice calm but razor-sharp. We intend to show that Daniel Hale is not the black sheep his family paints him to be, but the rightful heir, targeted by greed, lies, and betrayal. Piece by piece, Evelyn dismantled their story. She played the recording where Ethan hissed, "Then don't blame me when you regret it." She displayed the transfers linking Ethan's legal bills to my parents' secret accounts. She projected Claire's email where she wrote, "Daniel will fold. He always does. And when he does, the land will be ours." The courtroom buzzed with gasps. Claire's face paled. Ethan's arrogance cracked. Then Evelyn delivered the killing blow, my father's sealed testimony. The judge read it aloud. "To my eldest son, Daniel, you inherit the cabin, and with it the mineral rights. He alone understands respect for the land. Ethan does not. Claire does not. Only Daniel." Gasps echoed through the room. My parents hung their heads in shame. Ethan's jaw tightened, his fists clenched. Claire leaned away from him as though his poison might infect her too. In that moment, I didn't just win legally. I watched their entire empire of lies collapse in front of strangers. The court ruled in my favor. The land, the rights, the fortune, all mine. Ethan stormed out, shouting that he'd appeal. Claire followed, her diamond ring conspicuously missing from her finger. My parents didn't move at all. They sat like statues, faces gray with defeat. As I stepped outside, reporters swarmed. Flashes lit the air, microphones thrust toward me. "What will you do with the $500 million, Daniel?" one shouted. I looked past the cameras, past the chaos, into the clear blue sky. "My father once said the land is our mother. You respect her, or she swallows you whole. I'll use this gift to build something lasting, something that honors the land instead of exploiting it." That was my revenge. Not shouting, not fighting, not sinking to their level, but thriving. Living so well that their betrayals meant nothing. Standing tall where they expected me to crawl. They left me with a broken cabin, thinking it was worthless. They mocked me, betrayed me, tried to crush me. But that cabin gave me more than wealth. It gave me strength, purpose, and justice. My brother lost everything. My ex-fiancée lost the future she craved. And my parents, they lost the son who no longer needed their approval. Sometimes the best revenge isn't fire or fury. It's silence, success, and never looking back.